In this video, we're diving into the profound art of mastering your emotions, handling conflicts with wisdom, and turning adversity into personal growth. You'll learn how to harness the power of silence, confront problems without escalating them, and unlock the freedom that comes from forgiveness. This is not about just surviving challenges, but about thriving through them by transforming your mindset. Stay with us until the end, because the lessons we share today will not only shift how you face your enemies, but how you view yourself. Watch now and discover the tools to build an unshakable inner strength that no one can take from you. Before we start, I'd appreciate your support. If you liked the video, please subscribe and hit the bell to stay updated on future lessons. Number 1. Consciously choose to withdraw your attention. There's a profound truth in the saying, without an audience, there is no performance. The sheer emptiness of being ignored can evoke a deep sense of helplessness in those who thrive on creating conflict or drama. When you withhold your attention, you deny them the very fuel that sustains their behavior. This seemingly simple act, intentional silence, is one of the most powerful tools you can wield in situations where others seek to harm or undermine you. But make no mistake, mastering the art of ignoring requires immense inner strength and a level of emotional discipline that few possess. It's about consciously deciding not to react, not to engage, and above all, not to let their actions or words penetrate your peace. This strategy is not for the faint of heart. It requires you to rise above your immediate impulses, to resist the temptation to defend yourself, or retaliate when faced with criticism, malicious jokes, or provocations. For many, this is the hardest part, because our natural reaction is to protect ourselves, to push back, to demand justice. But in the art of ignoring, you are not surrendering. You are seizing control in a way that is both subtle and profoundly effective. It is about realizing that not every battle is worth fighting, and in many cases, the most victorious battles are the ones never fought. The real strength lies in self-mastery, the ability to recognize that some people's only power is the ability to provoke an emotional reaction. They revel in the knowledge that they can disrupt your sense of calm, that they can rattle your sense of security. This power is fleeting, shallow, and meaningless unless you allow it to penetrate. Once you begin to ignore their attempts, genuinely ignore them, you dismantle their influence piece by piece. You send them a clear message. Their presence, their words, their insults, none of it has any impact on you. You are untouchable. And nothing is more infuriating to someone who thrives on attention than being met with complete indifference. At first, it may feel counterintuitive. Your mind may rebel, wanting to engage, wanting to shout back or show them they are wrong. But remember this: every time you engage, you are giving away a piece of your power, your energy, your time, your peace. All of it is precious, and it should be fiercely protected. By refusing to give in to their provocations, you maintain your control. You take back your emotional energy and channel it towards something far more productive: your own growth, your own happiness, your own future. And here's the beauty of it. When you choose to ignore, you shift your focus away from the negativity that others try to impose upon you. Instead of being consumed by their actions, you begin to create space in your mind and heart for things that genuinely matter. You'll find that you no longer waste time obsessing over clever comebacks or planning retaliatory moves. Those endless internal debates, those sleepless nights, replaying their words over and over, will begin to fade. In their place, you'll experience a new kind of freedom, a freedom that allows you to focus on your goals, your passions, and the people who actually deserve your energy. By disengaging from the drama, you give yourself permission to live fully and intentionally. You stop letting other people dictate your emotional state, and you begin to recognize just how much power you hold. Your time, your energy, your mental and emotional well-being become sacred resources, no longer wasted on those who only seek to drag you down. You elevate yourself above the noise, and in doing so, you become unstoppable. Understand this. Ignoring isn't passive, it's an active choice. It's a choice to prioritize your own inner peace over the fleeting satisfaction of proving someone wrong. It's a choice to invest in your own personal growth, rather than feed into the negativity that others project. It's about standing firm in your values, refusing to be drawn into petty battles, and holding on to the knowledge that your worth is not determined by the approval or disapproval of others. Over time, as you continue to practice this, you will notice an even deeper shift. The things that once upset you will no longer hold the same power. The people who once drained your energy will no longer occupy space in your mind. You will find yourself less reactive, less concerned with the opinions of others, and more focused on the life you want to create. And in the end, this is the ultimate victory. To live a life free from the emotional manipulations of others. To walk through your days with the kind of confidence and clarity that comes from knowing you are in control of your reactions, your emotions, and your destiny. To become someone who no longer needs to fight every battle because you've already won the most important one, the battle within yourself. Number 2, master the art of solving problems without confrontation. In life, there's a tremendous difference between fighting to win and winning without fighting. True intelligence is not about overpowering others through sheer force or sharp words, but about leveraging wisdom, foresight, and creativity to navigate conflict and achieve your goals with grace. Being smarter than your adversary means understanding that not every battle needs to be fought directly. In fact, some of the greatest victories come from bypassing conflict altogether, finding solutions that diffuse tension before it ever erupts. This principle speaks to one of the most profound truths about conflict. Winning doesn't always mean defeating your opponent. Sometimes, winning means outmaneuvering them entirely, solving the problem in such a way that you avoid direct confrontation and come out on top without anyone ever throwing a punch, literally or figuratively. It's about seeing the bigger picture and using strategy over aggression, thoughtfulness over emotional reaction. Take, for instance, the iconic example of India's struggle for independence. For centuries, the British Empire ruled over India with an iron fist, using military might and economic control to maintain their dominance. The imbalance of power was stark. India, with its large population and rich resources, was under the control of a far more militarized, economically dominant British government. It would have seemed impossible for India to break free from such a powerful colonial force without resorting to violence and bloodshed. But Mahatma Gandhi, the visionary leader of India's independence movement, saw things differently. He understood that a violent rebellion would likely lead to the destruction of his people. India lacked the military resources to challenge the British Army head-on, and a war would have resulted in countless casualties and a broken nation. Instead of choosing the obvious path of confrontation, Gandhi chose a strategy that many thought impossible. He chose peaceful resistance, proving to the world that you can, in fact, win without ever engaging in physical or verbal warfare. Gandhi's approach was grounded in nonviolence and intelligent defiance. He encouraged his followers to resist British rule not by fighting them, but by simply refusing to cooperate with the oppressive systems they had imposed. Through acts of civil disobedience, boycotts, and peaceful protests, Gandhi and his people undermined the British regime in ways that violence could never have accomplished. One of the most famous examples of this strategy was the Salt March. At the time, the British had a monopoly on salt production in India and made it illegal for Indians to produce their own salt. Gandhi saw this as an opportunity to strike at the heart of British economic control. He organized a peaceful march to the Arabian Sea, where he and thousands of Indians harvested their own salt, openly defying British law in a way that was both symbolic and strategic. This action, though seemingly small, sent a message that resonated not just in India, but across the globe. By using peaceful defiance, Gandhi turned the British government's own rules against them, making their control look weak and unjust in the eyes of the world. The movement gained international attention, and the pressure on Britain grew exponentially. It was a brilliant strategy, not one that was fueled by anger or violence, but one that was deeply rooted in wisdom and foresight. And ultimately, it worked. By 1947, India had gained its independence, and Gandhi had proven to the world that true strength lies not in fighting, but in thinking. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We can all learn from Gandhi's approach to conflict. In our daily lives, we encounter people and situations that seem to demand a fight. Whether it's a personal conflict, a workplace dispute, or a larger social issue, The instinct to react, to push back, to defend ourselves, to fight, can be overwhelming. But the truth is, not every fight is worth engaging in. And sometimes the smartest, most effective way to resolve a problem is to step back, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, how can I solve this without escalating it? How can I achieve my goals without creating unnecessary tension or damage? The answer lies in learning to think strategically. Instead of reacting emotionally to every provocation, take the time to analyze the situation from all angles. What does the other person truly want? What are their motivations? What are the potential outcomes of engaging in a fight? And most importantly, what are the long-term consequences of your actions? By stepping outside of the immediate conflict and looking at the bigger picture, you gain the perspective needed to make smarter decisions. Like Gandhi, you can learn to turn your weaknesses into strengths. Maybe you don't have the resources or power to fight back directly, but that doesn't mean you're powerless. Often, the greatest victories come from recognizing your opponent's weaknesses and exploiting them in ways they don't expect. Gandhi understood that the British Empire, though powerful, relied heavily on the compliance of the Indian people. By simply refusing to cooperate, he stripped them of the control they had assumed was unshakable. In your own conflicts, this might mean finding creative solutions that sidestep confrontation altogether. Perhaps it means using empathy to understand what's really driving the other person's behavior. Or maybe it's about finding common ground where you can both benefit. It might even mean walking away from a fight when you realize that engaging would only drag you down. This doesn't mean you're avoiding the problem. It means you're solving it in a way that preserves your peace and achieves your goals without unnecessary conflict. Winning without fighting requires emotional intelligence and the ability to see beyond the immediate moment. It's about thinking not just about how to win the battle, but how to win the war in a way that leaves you stronger, not depleted. It's about knowing when to engage and when to hold back, when to push forward and when to step aside. And most importantly, it's about understanding that true power comes from your ability to control your own actions, rather than being controlled by the actions of others. In the end, solving problems without fighting isn't just about avoiding conflict. It's about elevating yourself above the need to fight. It's about recognizing that your time, energy, and peace of mind are far too valuable to waste on unnecessary battles. And it's about understanding that, sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is to walk away with your dignity intact and your goals accomplished. By mastering this art, you become a person of wisdom and resilience, someone who can face conflict with grace and emerge victorious not through force, but through sheer intelligence and foresight. You show the world, just as Gandhi did, that true power lies not in fighting, but in knowing when not to fight at all. Number 3. Turn your adversaries into your greatest teachers and let adversity shape your character. In life, we often view those who oppose us as obstacles, people standing in the way of our happiness, our success, or our peace of mind. But what if we could completely flip that perspective? What if, instead of seeing adversaries as threats, we saw them as powerful opportunities for personal growth and transformation? This shift in thinking is at the heart of Stoic philosophy, which teaches that every challenge, every conflict, and every difficult person we encounter is an invitation to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Instead of reacting to enemies with hostility or anger, we should begin to see them as mirrors, reflecting our own flaws and weaknesses. They expose where we need to grow, testing our patience, humility, and emotional strength. They become our teachers, pushing us to become better versions of ourselves. In this way, adversity is not a roadblock, but a stepping stone on the path to self-mastery. Imagine the power in this mindset. When someone criticizes you, instead of reacting defensively or with anger, pause and reflect. What is this person showing me about myself? Are they highlighting an insecurity you haven't fully addressed? Are they revealing a flaw in your character, a tendency toward impatience, or a quick temper? Your adversaries, whether they mean to or not, are offering you an opportunity to confront these aspects of yourself and grow beyond them. As Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic Roman emperor, wisely said, "The best revenge is to be unlike the one who wronged you." In this simple yet profound statement lies the key to true resilience and inner peace. When someone treats you with cruelty, disrespect, or anger, It's easy to feel the pull to retaliate in kind. But what do you gain from sinking to their level? Nothing, except a tarnished sense of self. Instead, the Stoic way is to rise above, using the situation not as a reason to fight back, but as a challenge to become a better, more virtuous person. When you choose not to engage in the same negativity that your adversary brings, you are exercising a profound level of self-control. This doesn't mean you let people walk all over you. Rather, it means you don't allow their actions to control your emotional state. You refuse to give them the power to disrupt your peace. You maintain your calm, your dignity, and your integrity, no matter how much they try to provoke you. This is the essence of Stoic strength, an inner fortitude that cannot be shaken by external events or people. To truly understand this, let's look at adversity as a sculptor. Just as a sculptor chisels away at a block of marble to reveal the beauty within, adversity chisels away at us, removing our weaknesses and flaws until the best version of ourselves is revealed. Your adversaries are the hands of the sculptor, constantly pushing you to refine your character. Every time they challenge you, they give you another opportunity to practice patience, kindness, and self-discipline. They give you a chance to prove to yourself that you can rise above the negativity and keep your values intact. One of the most powerful examples of this philosophy in action can be found in the life of Nelson Mandela. After spending 27 years imprisoned under South Africa's apartheid regime, Mandela had every reason to hate his oppressors. He had been treated unjustly, separated from his family, and forced to endure unimaginable hardships. Yet, when he was finally released and eventually became president, he chose forgiveness over revenge. He recognized that holding on to anger and seeking retribution would only perpetuate the cycle of violence and hatred. Instead, he sought to unite a divided nation, understanding that his former enemies had taught him some of the greatest lessons about perseverance, inner strength, and the power of forgiveness. Mandela's ability to turn his adversaries into teachers and his suffering into a platform for growth is a testament to the strength of Stoic wisdom. He refused to let bitterness define him, and in doing so, he transformed not only himself, but an entire nation. Mandela understood that growth comes not from comfort, but from adversity. He saw his enemies not as people to be destroyed, but as people who had helped him become the leader and the man he was destined to be. In our own lives, we may not face the extreme challenges that Mandela or other great figures in history did, but we all encounter adversaries, whether they're difficult coworkers, challenging family members, or people who seem determined to oppose us at every turn. The temptation to fight back or seek revenge can be overwhelming, but it's important to remember that every adversary offers us a lesson. They challenge us to become more patient, more understanding, and more capable of controlling our emotional responses. When you change the way you see your adversaries, you begin to view every difficult interaction as a kind of test, a test of your patience, your wisdom, and your resilience. It's easy to be calm and collected when everything is going smoothly, but true character is revealed in moments of conflict. When someone insults you or treats you unfairly, that's when you have the opportunity to show just how strong and composed you truly are. Instead of reacting in kind, respond with grace. Instead of escalating the situation, seek to diffuse it. This doesn't mean you ignore your adversaries or pretend that their actions don't affect you. It means that you approach these situations from a place of inner strength, knowing that your peace of mind is not dependent on how others treat you. You become impervious to the negativity around you because you have learned to see it for what it is, a reflection of the other person's inner turmoil, not your own. When you start to view your adversaries as teachers, you begin to cultivate a sense of gratitude for them. It may seem counterintuitive, but by challenging you, they are helping you grow in ways you might never have otherwise. They are revealing your blind spots, pushing you to become more emotionally resilient, and reminding you of the virtues that truly matter: patience, humility, and wisdom. Consider the story of Hercules, the great hero of Greek mythology. Without the countless monsters and challenges he faced, Hercules would have been just another man. It was his enemies, the fearsome beasts he had to conquer, that made him a legend. Similarly, your adversaries are the ones who give you the opportunity to become the hero of your own story. They are the ones who test your mettle, challenge your strength, and force you to rise to the occasion. So, the next time you find yourself in conflict with someone, remember that they are not just an obstacle in your path. They are the path itself. Every challenge, every difficult person, every moment of adversity is an opportunity to grow into the person you are meant to be. By turning your adversaries into teachers, you embrace the full spectrum of life's experiences, knowing that even in hardship, there is always the potential for growth, wisdom, and transformation. Number 4. Understand that your enemy is not the true source of your suffering. It's your own mind. One of the most liberating realizations we can come to in life is that the people or situations we believe are causing us pain are not, in fact, responsible for our suffering. The real source of our distress lies in how we interpret and react to those situations. This idea, central to Stoic philosophy, challenges us to look inward and recognize that external events have no inherent power to harm us. It's only our judgments about them that create emotional turmoil. Consider for a moment how much time we spend blaming others for our discomfort. When someone wrongs us, it's easy to point the finger and say, "That person hurt me," or "They made me angry." We believe that the actions of others are the direct cause of our suffering. But the truth is far more complex and far more empowering. Your emotional pain doesn't come from the person who insulted you, the colleague who undermined you, or the friend who betrayed you. Your pain comes from how you interpret and internalize their actions. It's your perception of the event, not the event itself, that causes you to feel hurt, angry, or distressed. This understanding is fundamental to the teachings of the great Stoic thinkers like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius, who believed that we are the masters of our own minds, and thus, the architects of our emotional experiences. Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In other words, the external world, people, situations, challenges, does not control your emotions. You do. You choose how to interpret what happens to you, and in that interpretation, you choose whether to suffer or to remain at peace. Let's break this down further. Imagine someone criticizes you harshly. Your instinct might be to feel hurt, defensive, or even furious. You might spend hours or even days replaying their words in your head, feeling your anger and resentment grow. But why? Is it really their criticism that's causing your suffering? Or is it the way you've interpreted their words? Perhaps you feel insulted because their criticism touched on an insecurity you already had. Or maybe you feel disrespected because you hold an expectation that others should always treat you with kindness. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment number 2 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. But here's the key. Their words have no inherent power over you. It's only because of the meaning you've assigned to them that they sting. You have the power to change that meaning. Instead of seeing their criticism as a personal attack, you could choose to view it as an opportunity for growth. Instead of feeling disrespected, you could recognize that their words say more about their character than about yours. The power to interpret the situation lies entirely within you. This idea, while simple in theory, requires a profound shift in how we approach life. We must learn to take full responsibility for our emotional states, no longer blaming others or external circumstances for how we feel. This is not to say that we should condone or accept mistreatment from others. Rather, it's about realizing that no one can make you feel anything without your consent. You have the ability to control your reaction, to shape your response, and ultimately to decide how much power you give to external events. When we face someone we perceive as an enemy, a person who seems determined to make our lives difficult, our initial reaction is often to blame them for the stress, frustration, or anger they stir within us. But what if we paused and recognized that they are not the source of our suffering? What if we understood that our reaction is based on our interpretation of their behavior? This shift in perspective changes everything. Your adversary ceases to be an all-powerful force capable of controlling your emotions and becomes simply a person, flawed and fallible, just like everyone else. And most importantly, you regain control over your emotional life. In Stoic philosophy, this shift is crucial because it aligns with the belief that external events are neutral. They are neither inherently good nor bad. What determines their impact on us is how we perceive them. Take, for instance, a situation where someone gossips about you behind your back. It's easy to feel angry or hurt by their actions, but that anger comes not from the gossip itself, but from your judgment of it. You might think, how could they say that about me? Or this is unfair. But what if you changed that internal dialogue? What if, instead, you told yourself, their words can't change who I am, or I don't need everyone's approval to be at peace with myself? In doing so, you disarm the situation. You take back the power that you've given away and recognize that your peace of mind does not have to be disturbed by the actions of others. You are in control. This is one of the most powerful lessons from the Stoics. We cannot control the actions of others, but we can always control how we respond. And in choosing our response wisely, we free ourselves from the emotional chains that we so often place on ourselves. Let's explore a deeper aspect of this philosophy. Not only is your enemy not the cause of your suffering, but they can actually become a source of growth. Every difficult person you encounter, every adversary who challenges you, offers an opportunity for you to strengthen your character. They serve as a mirror, reflecting back to you the areas of your life where you are still vulnerable, where your ego still holds sway, where your emotional responses need refining. Think about it. When someone pushes your buttons, when they provoke you and stir up anger or frustration, they are showing you exactly where you need to grow. If you react with anger, it's a sign that you are still allowing external events to dictate your internal state. If you feel hurt or offended, it's a sign that you are still holding on to expectations about how others should treat you. In this way, your enemies become your greatest teachers, revealing the places within you that still need work. Instead of seeing your adversaries as obstacles to your peace, you can start to view them as opportunities for self-discovery. Each challenge they present is a chance for you to practice patience, humility, and emotional resilience. Every time you feel your emotions flare up in response to their actions, you can ask yourself, what is this person teaching me about myself? By shifting your perspective in this way, you turn every conflict into a chance to become stronger, wiser, and more at peace. The Stoics believed that true emotional freedom comes from understanding that we are not victims of the world around us. We are not powerless in the face of life's challenges. Instead, we have the ability to shape our experiences by choosing how we respond to them. When you realize that your suffering doesn't come from your enemy, but from your own mind, you unlock the door to a life of profound inner peace. This shift in perspective is not easy. It requires constant self-reflection and practice, but the rewards are immense. When you no longer allow others to dictate your emotional state, you experience a level of freedom that few people ever attain. You become unshakable, no longer thrown off course by the actions or opinions of others. You learn to take full responsibility for your emotions, understanding that true peace comes from within, not from external circumstances. So the next time you find yourself in conflict with someone, whether it's a minor disagreement or a deep personal betrayal, remember this. Your suffering doesn't come from them. It comes from how you choose to interpret the situation. And in that interpretation, you have the power to change everything. By recognizing that your emotional responses are within your control, you reclaim your peace of mind, your sense of purpose, and your inner strength. Your enemy is not the cause of your suffering. Your mind is. And once you understand that, you hold the key to your own freedom. Number 5. Embrace greatness through the power of forgiveness. Forgiveness is one of the most profound acts a person can engage in, an act of immense courage, compassion, and strength. It is often misunderstood as a sign of weakness, as though to forgive someone is to excuse or condone the harm they've caused. But in reality, forgiveness is an act of greatness, one that allows you to transcend the pain inflicted by others and find peace within yourself. It is a decision to let go of the bitterness, resentment, and anger that can consume your heart, and instead choose a path of inner freedom and emotional liberation. At its core, forgiveness is not about the other person. It's not about letting them off the hook for what they did, nor does it require that you maintain a relationship with them. Forgiveness is about freeing yourself from the burden of carrying emotional pain. It's about recognizing that holding on to anger and resentment doesn't punish the person who hurt you. It punishes you. The longer you cling to those negative emotions, the more power you give to the person who wronged you. They continue to hold sway over your emotional well-being, your thoughts, and even your actions. By choosing to forgive, you are choosing to reclaim your power and break free from the emotional prison that resentment creates. Forgiveness is often seen as a difficult and daunting task, especially when the wound is deep or the betrayal is personal. It's natural to want to hold onto the anger, to seek justice or revenge. But true greatness lies not in revenge, but in the ability to rise above. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca once wrote, forgiveness is superior to revenge because it demonstrates kindness, while revenge reflects a savage nature. Forgiveness is not about letting someone get away with what they did. It's about choosing to be better, to be greater than the pain they caused. It's about demonstrating that your inner peace, your emotional strength, and your sense of self are not dictated by the actions of others. When you forgive, you are not excusing the wrong that was done. You are not pretending that it didn't hurt or that it didn't matter. Forgiveness is not about forgetting. It's about choosing to let go. It's about deciding that you will no longer allow the actions of others to hold you hostage. You are releasing the anger and the resentment, not for their sake, but for your own. You are choosing to release yourself from the past, to let go of the emotional chains that are keeping you bound to the hurt. Consider how much energy it takes to stay angry. Think of the emotional and mental toll that holding on to resentment can take. It can consume your thoughts, keep you awake at night, and prevent you from fully enjoying the present moment. When you forgive, you are making a choice to redirect that energy towards something positive, something healing. You are choosing to focus on your own well-being, your own growth, and your own peace of mind. This is why forgiveness is an act of greatness, because it requires you to rise above your pain and prioritize your own emotional freedom over the desire for revenge. Forgiveness also requires a shift in perspective. It asks you to see beyond the immediate hurt and recognize the humanity in the person who hurt you. It doesn't mean that you excuse their behavior, but it does mean that you understand that people are often acting out of their own pain, their own fears, and their own insecurities. This doesn't justify what they did, but it allows you to view the situation with compassion and understanding, rather than with a hardened heart. It allows you to let go of the need for vengeance and embrace a more enlightened, more evolved way of being. When you choose to forgive, you are taking control of your own emotional narrative. You are deciding that you will not allow someone else's actions to define how you feel, how you live, or how you interact with the world. Forgiveness is about reclaiming your power. It's about acknowledging that while you cannot change the past, you can choose how you move forward. You can choose to release the pain, the anger, and the bitterness, and create space for healing, growth, and peace. This act of forgiveness is not only an internal process. It can transform your relationships as well. It can create an opportunity for reconciliation, though that is not always necessary or possible. In some cases, the person who hurt you may no longer be in your life, or it may not be healthy to invite them back into your circle. Forgiveness does not require that you reestablish a relationship with the person who wronged you. Instead, it allows you to release the emotional hold they have over you, even from a distance. Think about the emotional freedom that comes with forgiveness. When you forgive, you are no longer tethered to the past. You are no longer replaying the hurt in your mind, dwelling on what happened, or fantasizing about revenge. Instead, you are freeing yourself to live fully in the present. You are choosing to focus on your own happiness, your own peace, and your own future. You are no longer weighed down by the emotional baggage of anger and resentment. This is why forgiveness is an act of self-love, because it allows you to prioritize your own emotional health over the desire for retribution. But make no mistake, forgiveness is not easy. It is a process, one that may take time, patience, and practice. It may involve confronting painful emotions, acknowledging the hurt, and working through the anger. Forgiveness is not a one-time decision. It is something that you may need to reaffirm over and over again, especially if the wound is deep. But each time you choose forgiveness, you are taking a step toward emotional freedom, toward healing, and toward peace. One of the most famous examples of the power of forgiveness comes from the life of Nelson Mandela. After spending 27 years in prison under South Africa's apartheid regime, Mandela had every reason to hold on to anger and resentment. He had been unjustly imprisoned, separated from his family, and subjected to unimaginable hardship. But when he was finally released and went on to become the country's president, Mandela chose the path of forgiveness. He could have sought revenge against those who oppressed him, but instead, he focused on reconciliation and healing. He understood that holding on to anger would only continue the cycle of pain and hatred. By choosing forgiveness, Mandela not only freed himself, but he also helped to heal a nation. Mandela's story is a powerful reminder that forgiveness is not about weakness. It is about strength. It takes strength to forgive. It takes strength to let go of the desire for revenge. And it takes strength to prioritize peace over conflict. Forgiveness is a testament to your inner greatness, to your ability to rise above the pain and choose a higher path. Forgiveness also has a profound impact on your mental and physical health. Studies have shown that holding on to anger and resentment can lead to chronic stress, anxiety, and even physical ailments like heart disease. By contrast, forgiveness can lower stress levels, improve mental health, and lead to greater overall well-being. When you forgive, you are not only healing your heart, you are healing your body as well. In the end, forgiveness is a gift. It is a gift you give to yourself. It is a way to reclaim your power, to prioritize your peace, and to create space for joy, love, and happiness in your life. It is a decision to break free from the chains of the past and to live fully in the present. Forgiveness is not about the other person. It is about you. It is about your choice to be great, to be free, and to be at peace. So, choose forgiveness. Choose greatness. Not because the person who hurt you deserves it, but because you deserve to be free from the weight of anger and resentment. You deserve to live a life of peace, happiness, and emotional freedom. And forgiveness is the path that will lead you there. Number 6. Redefine your relationship with your enemies through kindness and compassion. There is an ancient wisdom that teaches us the true power of transformation lies not in crushing those who oppose us, but in changing the dynamic of our relationships with them. To rise above conflict, to transcend the instinct for retaliation, and to meet hostility with compassion is one of the greatest tests of personal growth and inner strength. It's not about denying the harm others may have caused, nor is it about excusing wrongful behavior. Instead, it's about recognizing that you have the power to alter the very nature of conflict by choosing to act in ways that promote peace and understanding, even in the face of hostility. The natural reaction when confronted with an enemy, a rival, or someone who has wronged us is to feel the surge of anger, the desire to defend ourselves, or even to seek revenge. It's part of human nature to want to fight back when we feel attacked. However, this instinct, though primal, does not serve us well in the long run. Revenge and retaliation are short-term victories, but they leave behind scars, both on the people involved and on the soul of the person seeking revenge. When we engage in a tit-for-tat mentality, we perpetuate a cycle of hostility that often spirals out of control. We become locked in a battle of egos, where the aim is not reconciliation or resolution, but merely to prove who can inflict the most pain. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment number 3 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. But what if there was another way? What if we could transform the very nature of conflict by changing how we respond to it? To redefine your relationship with your enemies means to consciously choose an entirely different approach, one rooted in kindness, compassion, and emotional wisdom. It means shifting your perspective, so you no longer see your enemy as a threat to be vanquished, but rather as a person struggling with their own challenges, insecurities, or inner turmoil. By doing so, you elevate yourself and the situation, choosing to engage with dignity and grace rather than being dragged down into the pettiness of revenge. This might sound idealistic, but let me share a story that illustrates the immense power of this approach. There was once a wealthy man, known for his arrogance and cruelty, who decided to publicly humiliate a poor man on his birthday. In front of a crowd of onlookers, the rich man presented the poor man with a tray filled with trash, dirt, and filth, mocking him for his poverty and low status. The intention was clear. The rich man wanted to degrade the poor man, to remind him of his insignificance in the grand scheme of things, and to bask in the superiority of his wealth and power. But the poor man did something remarkable. Instead of reacting with anger, shame, or resentment, he received the tray with a smile and genuine gratitude. He thanked the rich man and asked for a moment to prepare a return gift. The crowd watched with confusion as the poor man took the tray away. He emptied out the trash, washed and polished the tray until it gleamed, and then filled it with the most beautiful flowers he could find. Along with the tray, he placed a note that read, "We give what we have." When the poor man returned the tray to the rich man, the crowd fell silent. The rich man had expected retaliation or at least bitterness in return, but instead, he was confronted with an act of grace and dignity. The poor man had chosen not to respond to cruelty with cruelty, but with kindness. In doing so, he exposed the true nature of the rich man's behavior. It wasn't about the poor man at all, but about the rich man's own inner poverty, his need to feel powerful by belittling others. The rich man was giving from what he had, a heart full of arrogance and bitterness. The poor man, on the other hand, gave from his own inner wealth, a heart full of love and compassion. This story teaches a powerful lesson. We can only give what we carry within us. If we carry anger, resentment, or bitterness, that is what we will offer to the world. But if we cultivate love, kindness, and understanding, then even when faced with hostility, we can give something greater in return. The poor man's act of kindness was not an act of weakness. It was an act of profound strength. He did not allow the rich man's cruelty to define him or dictate his response. Instead, he chose to transform the relationship by offering something beautiful in return for something ugly. We all have the ability to do this in our own lives. When we face hostility or animosity, we can choose to meet it with kindness and compassion, thereby changing the dynamic of the situation. This doesn't mean that we allow ourselves to be walked over or that we ignore the wrongs done to us. Rather, it means that we recognize the power of our own response. We are not responsible for how others treat us, but we are always responsible for how we respond. And it is in our response that we find our true power. One of the reasons why this approach is so powerful is because it disarms the aggressor. People who act with cruelty or hostility often expect the same in return. They are locked in a cycle of negative behavior, where they expect conflict to escalate, and they thrive on the reactions of others. When you respond with kindness, you disrupt that cycle. You force them to confront their own behavior, often in ways they are not prepared for. Kindness has the power to reflect back the ugliness of their actions, not through direct confrontation, but by showing them a better way. The Stoic philosophers understood this concept well. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic thinker, wrote extensively about the power of choosing how to respond to the actions of others. He believed that while we cannot control what happens to us, we can always control how we interpret and react to those events. In his meditations, he reminds us that no matter how others behave, we have the power to remain true to our principles. He wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." In other words, we do not need to retaliate in kind to those who harm us. Instead, we should rise above their behavior, demonstrating our own strength and integrity by choosing a different path. Transforming your relationship with your enemies is about breaking free from the cycle of conflict. It's about recognizing that continuing to fight, to hold grudges, or to seek revenge only perpetuates the negativity. When you choose kindness and compassion, you are not only acting in alignment with your highest self, but you are also creating the possibility of change in others. You are planting the seeds of a different kind of relationship, one based not on opposition, but on understanding and peace. This approach also benefits you, not just in terms of how others perceive you, but in terms of your own emotional well-being. Anger and resentment are heavy burdens to carry. They weigh down your spirit and cloud your judgment. By choosing to let go of these negative emotions, you free yourself from the emotional toll they take on you. Kindness and compassion, on the other hand, lighten your load. They bring you peace, clarity, and a sense of empowerment. You are no longer reacting to the actions of others. You are choosing your own path, It is important to note that transforming your relationship with your enemies does not mean that you allow people to mistreat you. It doesn't mean that you tolerate abuse or overlook harmful behavior. Boundaries are essential. You can be kind and compassionate while still protecting yourself from further harm. In fact, true kindness often requires strong boundaries. It means saying, "I will not engage in hostility, but I also will not allow myself to be mistreated." By setting boundaries, you show respect for yourself while still offering the possibility of peace to others. In conclusion, choosing to transform your relationship with your enemies is a path of true greatness. It is a decision to break the cycle of negativity and to respond to hostility with grace, dignity, and compassion. It is about recognizing that we have the power to change the dynamics of conflict by changing how we engage with it. By offering kindness instead of retaliation, we elevate ourselves and those around us. We show that we are not prisoners of our emotions or of the actions of others, but that we are the authors of our own lives. And in doing so, we not only create the possibility of peace in our relationships, but we also cultivate a deeper sense of peace within ourselves. We give what we have, and in choosing to give love, we become the source of transformation in a world too often driven by conflict and division. Number 7. Confront problems directly with clarity and strength. One of the most effective ways to solve problems without resorting to fighting is to confront the issue head-on. Avoiding confrontation may seem easier in the short term, but unresolved problems tend to fester. And as Dr. Matt Murdock wisely said, an unconfronted enemy tends to grow stronger. When you allow problems to go unaddressed, they often spiral out of control, becoming more difficult and complex to manage over time. Confrontation does not mean conflict. It means addressing the issue openly and objectively, with the intent to find resolution, rather than to provoke further tension. It's about clearly communicating that you are aware of the situation and that certain behaviors are unacceptable. Confrontation can be simple yet powerful. You might begin with a statement like, "I've noticed you've been doing this or that, and I don't think it's fair or respectful. I haven't done anything to deserve this treatment, and I'm asking you to stop." This type of conversation is direct, but it is not hostile. It asserts your boundaries and demonstrates your willingness to address inappropriate behavior without aggression or emotional outbursts. This kind of confrontation is not about physical intimidation or raising your voice. It's about making it clear that you will not passively accept mistreatment. If you don't assert yourself, the behavior is likely to continue or even escalate. People tend to test boundaries. If you let someone disrespect you once, they may do it again, and soon it becomes a pattern. By standing up for yourself from the start, you send a message that you respect yourself and won't allow others to undermine that. Of course, context matters. The way you confront someone depends on the nature of the relationship and the specific situation. For example, confronting a boss requires more nuance than confronting a peer or acquaintance. With a superior, you might have to approach the issue with even more tact, acknowledging the professional hierarchy while still asserting yourself in a way that makes your boundaries clear. But the principle remains the same. Assertion does not equal aggression. It's about calmly but firmly making your point, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. Many people mistake confrontation for conflict, thinking that standing up for themselves will automatically lead to a fight. But most of the time, that's not true. When you assert yourself clearly and respectfully, the other person usually understands the message. They may not agree with you, but they'll often respect you for standing your ground. People will rarely escalate a situation when they see you're serious, especially when they realize their behavior has been noticed and won't be tolerated in silence. The key to successful confrontation is not to wait too long. If you allow mistreatment or disrespect to go unchecked, it becomes harder to address later on. If you confront issues early, you prevent the buildup of resentment, anger, or bitterness that can eventually lead to explosive conflict. By dealing with problems directly and at the right time, you maintain control over the situation, and you demonstrate to others that you won't be walked over. Number 8. Focus on your personal growth and inner well-being. After confronting issues directly, it's equally important to shift your focus back to yourself. It's easy to become consumed by thoughts of revenge, by the desire to win over those who have wronged you, or by hoping they'll recognize their mistakes and apologize. But this mindset keeps you tethered to the past, draining your energy and attention from what really matters, your own growth and fulfillment. When you dwell on past grievances, replaying old conversations, or imagining different outcomes, you waste precious time that could be spent building a better version of yourself. Every moment you spend obsessing over what others did to you is a moment you could have dedicated to improving yourself, learning new skills, or nurturing your emotional resilience. Revenge or waiting for someone's regret is a distraction from the life you want to create for yourself. Moreover, hoping for an apology or validation from those who hurt you is often tied to a desire for external approval. It's natural to want recognition, but in truth, the validation that matters most must come from within. The people who hurt or mistreat us are often unable or unwilling to give us the acknowledgement we crave. Waiting for them to realize their wrongdoings can leave you feeling frustrated and powerless. Instead, turn inward and cultivate self-worth that doesn't depend on the opinions or actions of others. Recognize your value independently, without seeking approval from those who may never provide it. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment number 4 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. The ancient Stoics, such as Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius, taught that our emotional responses are within our control. While we cannot change the behavior of others, we can choose how we respond. We have the power to let go of the desire for revenge or apology and instead focus on our personal journey. The Stoic philosophy encourages us to center our attention on what we can control, our thoughts, our actions, and our emotions. By doing so, we are freed from the turmoil of external conflicts and can focus on our true purpose. This philosophy doesn't suggest that we ignore or suppress our emotions. Instead, it teaches us to understand that our reactions are within our control, and it empowers us to make decisions that are aligned with our higher values. When someone wrongs you, you can choose to let that wrong shape your emotional world, or you can choose to use the experience as a lesson in growth and self-discovery. By focusing on yourself, you invest in your own resilience and inner peace. It's important to remember that personal growth is a lifelong process. It involves not only developing new skills and competencies, but also building emotional intelligence, forgiveness, and love, especially for yourself. Forgiveness doesn't mean excusing bad behavior or pretending it didn't hurt. It means letting go of the emotional grip that the past holds over you. It means freeing yourself from the negativity that weighs you down and prevents you from moving forward. Self-growth also involves letting go of the need for others to validate your experiences. Often, we hold on to anger because we want the person who wronged us to acknowledge their mistake. But the need for validation from others can keep us trapped in emotional limbo. True freedom comes from recognizing that your worth is not dependent on anyone else's acknowledgement. You are valuable simply because you exist, and the recognition of that value must come from within. In conclusion, the combined approach of confronting problems directly and then focusing on your own growth creates a powerful dynamic of self-respect and inner peace. By confronting issues early and with clarity, you prevent misunderstandings and assert your boundaries. But more importantly, by focusing on your personal growth, you ensure that you don't get lost in the negative emotions that can accompany conflict. Instead of dwelling on past hurts, you invest your energy in building a brighter, more fulfilling future for yourself. One that isn't dictated by the actions or opinions of others, but is shaped by your own inner strength and wisdom. This path of assertiveness combined with self-reflection is not always easy, but it leads to a deeper sense of empowerment and peace. It teaches you that while you may not be able to control everything that happens to you, you always have control over how you respond, and in that response lies your true power. Number 9. Cultivate personal growth as your ultimate form of self-empowerment. In life, one of the most transformative approaches we can take when facing adversity is to redirect our focus inward and commit ourselves to personal growth. Instead of expending energy on defeating an external enemy, we can channel that energy into becoming a better, stronger, and more resilient version of ourselves. When we focus on nurturing our own development, we move away from a mindset of competition or conflict and shift toward a mindset of progress and self-empowerment. True personal growth is a holistic journey, one that involves emotional, mental, and even physical development. It's about becoming more self-aware, more emotionally intelligent, and more attuned to what truly matters in life. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius understood this well, famously writing in his Meditations, "The true power lies in living in accordance with the nature of our own being, which is rational." What he meant is that our strength comes not from dominating others, but from living in alignment with our inner values and constantly working to improve ourselves. By doing so, we become stronger, more rational, and more resilient, not because of any external victory, but because of our internal growth. To commit to personal growth means to actively engage in practices that nurture your inner self. You might start by adopting daily habits that promote self-reflection, such as journaling or mindfulness. Self-reflection is a powerful tool for personal development because it allows you to evaluate your thoughts, actions, and emotions with clarity. It helps you identify areas where you need improvement and gives you a chance to learn from your experiences. Each day offers new lessons, and self-reflection allows you to recognize and internalize those lessons so that you can continuously evolve. Another key practice is gratitude journaling. In the face of adversity or conflict, it's easy to become consumed by negativity, focusing on what's wrong or what others have done to hurt us. But by intentionally practicing gratitude, you shift your mindset away from these negative emotions and toward a sense of abundance and appreciation for the positive things in your life. Gratitude has a way of reframing your perspective, helping you see that even in difficult times, there are countless reasons to be thankful. This mindset shift is empowering because it trains you to look for the good, even when things aren't going your way. Additionally, practicing mindfulness is a vital aspect of personal growth. Mindfulness encourages you to be fully present in the moment, observing your thoughts and emotions without judgment. It helps you stay grounded, even when external circumstances are chaotic or challenging. When you are mindful, you become less reactive to negative stimuli and more intentional in your responses. This is an essential skill when facing adversity because it allows you to approach conflicts or difficulties with a calm, centered mind, rather than being swept up in anger, fear, or frustration. The beauty of focusing on personal growth is that it empowers you to move beyond external conflicts. When you are actively working on bettering yourself, you become less affected by what others say or do. The opinions, criticisms, or actions of others no longer have the same power over you because your sense of worth comes from within, not from external validation or comparison. Personal growth transforms your perspective. You no longer view your enemies or rivals as obstacles to be conquered, but as opportunities for self-improvement. This journey towards self-empowerment is ongoing. It's not something you achieve overnight, but rather a lifelong commitment to learning, growing, and evolving. Along the way, you'll encounter setbacks, but these setbacks are not failures. They are opportunities to learn more about yourself and your own resilience. Each time you overcome a challenge or learn from a difficult situation, you become stronger and more capable of handling future difficulties with grace and confidence. By investing in your personal growth, you're not just preparing yourself to face external challenges. You're also strengthening your inner foundation. This inner strength allows you to face your enemies or critics without fear or insecurity. You approach them from a place of self-assurance and peace, knowing that your growth and happiness are not dependent on their approval or validation. The work you do on yourself becomes the greatest defense against any external adversary. You are unshakable because your sense of worth comes from within. Number 10. Practice self-compassion as the foundation for emotional resilience. In a world where we are often our own harshest critics, one of the most radical acts of strength we can perform is to cultivate self-compassion. Many people confuse self-compassion with self-indulgence, believing that being kind to ourselves means letting ourselves off the hook or lowering our standards. But in reality, self-compassion is not about being lenient. It's about acknowledging your humanity, embracing your imperfections, and treating yourself with the same care and understanding that you would offer to someone you love. When we face criticism, whether from others or from ourselves, it's easy to let that criticism erode our sense of self-worth. We may beat ourselves up over our mistakes, dwelling on where we've gone wrong, or obsessing over how we could have done things differently. But self-compassion offers a different approach. Instead of tearing yourself down for your perceived failures, self-compassion invites you to see those failures as opportunities for growth. It encourages you to understand that imperfection is part of being human, and that every misstep is simply a chance to learn and evolve. Practicing self-compassion is an incredibly powerful tool for building emotional resilience. Life is full of ups and downs, and no one is immune to failure or disappointment. But the way you respond to those difficult moments makes all the difference. If you approach yourself with harshness, expecting perfection, you create an environment of fear and self-doubt. But if you approach yourself with kindness, you create an environment of growth and possibility. You learn to see challenges not as indictments of your worth, but as stepping stones on the path to becoming a better, stronger person. Self-compassion also changes how you interact with others, especially in the face of criticism or conflict. When you are kind to yourself, you are less likely to internalize the negative words or actions of others. You no longer need external validation to feel good about yourself, because you have cultivated an inner source of worth. This allows you to face enemies or critics with calmness and dignity, without becoming defensive or reactive. You recognize that their words do not define you, and you don't allow their negativity to shake your inner peace. Self-compassion is not just about handling your own mistakes. It's also about recognizing that you are deserving of kindness, even when life is difficult. When you encounter setbacks or failures, treating yourself with compassion helps you recover more quickly and move forward with renewed strength. It's about giving yourself permission to be human, to struggle, and to grow from those struggles. This mindset is incredibly liberating because it frees you from the constant pressure to be perfect. It allows you to approach life with a sense of curiosity and openness, knowing that every experience, whether good or bad, offers valuable lessons. In moments of difficulty, self-compassion becomes a source of inner strength. When you treat yourself with the same kindness you would offer a close friend, you create a space for healing and renewal. You stop punishing yourself for your shortcomings and instead embrace your potential for growth. This creates a solid emotional foundation, one that is unshaken by external challenges. You develop the ability to face adversity with grace because you know that, no matter what happens, you are worthy of love and understanding. By cultivating self-compassion, you not only build resilience, but you also become better equipped to show compassion to others. When you are kind to yourself, you are more likely to extend that kindness to the people around you. You become more patient, more empathetic, and more understanding of the struggles that others face. In this way, self-compassion doesn't just benefit you, it benefits everyone you interact with. In conclusion, practicing both personal growth and self-compassion are essential to building a life of strength, peace, and fulfillment. By focusing on your own development, you empower yourself to face any challenge with confidence and clarity. And by treating yourself with compassion, you create a foundation of emotional resilience that allows you to navigate life's difficulties with grace. Together, these practices form a powerful combination that enables you to live a life rooted in inner strength and self-worth. You are not defined by your enemies, your critics, or your mistakes. You are defined by the love, growth, and compassion you cultivate within yourself. Number 11. Build a strong support network. One of the most essential strategies for navigating life's challenges, especially when dealing with conflict or adversity, is to surround yourself with a strong support network. According to the Stoics, the people you choose to spend time with can have a profound impact on your personal growth and emotional well-being. Wise and virtuous companions act as mirrors, reflecting back your values, encouraging your best qualities, and offering guidance when you're in need. Having people who provide emotional support helps you remain calm and centered, especially when external pressures mount. The value of a support network is immense. These are the people who remind you that you're not alone in difficult times. They offer different perspectives that you may not have considered, and their advice can help you navigate situations more wisely. When you're struggling to maintain a balanced view in the face of conflict or personal hardship, your support network becomes a source of strength, a steady foundation that keeps you grounded. Friendship and connection remind us of our shared humanity and prevent us from feeling isolated in our struggles. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about the importance of seeking out virtuous people to learn from and grow with. reinforcing the idea that we are shaped by the company we keep. A strong network can also serve as a buffer against emotional attacks. When someone tries to undermine your confidence or peace, the voices of your friends and mentors can provide the counterbalance, helping you maintain perspective. You become less reactive, less vulnerable to being emotionally manipulated or overwhelmed, because you have a broader view of the situation. This broader perspective allows you to respond from a place of clarity and wisdom, rather than from fear or anger. By surrounding yourself with those who reflect your best self, you protect your inner peace and cultivate a deeper sense of emotional resilience. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment number 5 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Number 12. Practice gratitude and forgiveness as paths to inner freedom. In moments of adversity, when life presents challenges in the form of difficult people or conflict, it might seem almost impossible to feel gratitude. How can one be thankful for hardship or for those who have caused pain? Yet, in practicing gratitude for the lessons adversity brings, we unlock a powerful tool for personal transformation and growth. Adversity, often unwelcome, is a mirror, reflecting back to us our weaknesses, our unhealed wounds, and our hidden potential for growth. When viewed through this lens, even the most painful experiences become stepping stones to self-improvement. Gratitude shifts your perspective. It allows you to stop seeing your enemies or critics as purely negative forces and instead to view them as teachers, showing you where you still need to grow. Every time someone challenges you, criticizes you, or causes you pain, they are offering you a chance to strengthen your resolve, deepen your patience, or sharpen your character. As Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, taught, each difficulty is an opportunity to practice a virtue, whether that virtue is courage, patience, or forgiveness. This shift in perspective transforms obstacles into opportunities. When you can look at a situation and say, "This is helping me grow," you take control of the narrative and no longer feel like a victim of circumstance. Gratitude doesn't mean you're glad someone hurt you. It means you are able to find value in the lesson that the experience teaches. It requires a certain level of emotional maturity and the ability to step back from the immediate pain of the situation and see the bigger picture. Over time, as you practice this, you begin to realize that every challenge, every adversary, every critic is part of your path to self-discovery and improvement. In recognizing this, you take back your power, because you are no longer controlled by the situation or by your enemies. You shape your own growth through how you respond to the challenges life presents. Forgiveness is equally important on this journey. It is a powerful way to release the emotional burdens that can weigh you down. Forgiving others for the wrongs they've done is essential for your emotional freedom, but it's equally important to forgive yourself. Often, when we hold on to resentment or anger, we also hold onto a sense of guilt or self-reproach for feeling those emotions in the first place. Forgiveness liberates you from these self-imposed emotional chains. It allows you to let go of the past, release bitterness, and make room for healing. It's crucial to understand that forgiveness is not about excusing bad behavior or pretending that the harm didn't matter. It's about freeing yourself from the corrosive effects of holding onto anger and resentment. These emotions, if left unchecked, act like poison. They don't harm the person who hurt you, but they eat away at your own peace and well-being. By letting go of these emotions, you're not saying that what happened was okay. You're saying that you refuse to be defined by it. You're refusing to let it take any more space in your life. Forgiving yourself is just as important as forgiving others. Often, we are our own harshest critics, and we judge ourselves for feeling hurt, angry, or resentful. But holding on to that judgment only deepens the pain. When you forgive yourself, you allow space for emotional healing. You acknowledge that you are human, that you have imperfections, and that it's okay to have felt hurt or anger in the first place. Forgiveness toward yourself creates an opening for self-compassion, which is essential for growth. When you practice forgiveness, you take back control of your emotional state. You reclaim your power over how you feel, think, and respond. Instead of allowing someone else's actions to dictate your mood or behavior, you decide to choose peace. This is where the Stoic philosophy aligns so beautifully with the practice of forgiveness. As Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This principle reminds us that we always have a choice in how we respond to life's events. Forgiveness allows you to respond with clarity, not clouded by anger or resentment. It allows you to choose compassion and wisdom instead of letting negative emotions consume you. When you forgive, you free yourself. It's one of the most profound acts of strength and courage because it involves releasing control over things you cannot change and, instead, focusing on the one thing you can always control, your reaction. By practicing both gratitude and forgiveness, you create an inner space of peace, even in the midst of adversity. You learn to see challenges not as barriers, but as opportunities for growth. You learn to release the emotional baggage that weighs you down and, in doing so, become lighter, stronger, and more resilient. In summary, practicing gratitude and forgiveness is about transforming your mindset and taking charge of your emotional well-being. It's about shifting from a reactive state, where you're controlled by external events, to a proactive state, where you choose how to respond. Gratitude turns adversity into an opportunity for growth, and forgiveness releases you from the emotional weight of past hurts. Together, these practices allow you to cultivate a life of peace, resilience, and emotional freedom, where you are in control of your own narrative and no longer a prisoner to the actions or opinions of others. Number 13. The control is yours. Mastering your emotional freedom. One of the most empowering truths you can realize in life is that you alone have control over your emotions. No one has the power to disrupt your peace, ruin your day, or take away your joy, unless you allow it to happen. This understanding, central to Stoic philosophy, teaches us that while we cannot control what others do or say, we always have the power to control how we respond. This fundamental insight can change your life because it puts the responsibility for your well-being firmly in your own hands. In our day-to-day lives, many of us fall into the trap of thinking that our happiness or distress is dictated by external circumstances. We believe that if someone criticizes us, behaves unfairly, or deliberately tries to hurt us, they are the cause of our emotional suffering. However, the truth is that the only person who can determine how you feel is you. You are the one who gives meaning to the words and actions of others, and it's your interpretation of those events that shapes your emotional state. As Marcus Aurelius wisely wrote in his Meditations, choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been. This profound idea is not about pretending that challenges don't exist or denying that people sometimes act maliciously. Rather, it's about recognizing that your power lies in how you choose to interpret and respond to those challenges. You have the ability to decide whether or not someone's words or actions will affect your sense of peace. For many, this shift in thinking can feel liberating but also challenging. It's easy to fall into the habit of reacting emotionally when someone says something hurtful or unfair. But the key to emotional freedom is to understand that other people's actions reflect their own inner world, not your worth. If someone criticizes you, acts out of jealousy, or tries to bring you down, it's often because of their own insecurities or unresolved issues. Their negativity is not a reflection of you, but of themselves. The real question is whether you choose to internalize their negativity or rise above it. Imagine someone makes a harsh or unfair comment about you. Your immediate reaction might be to feel offended or defensive, but if you pause for a moment and reflect on the situation, you'll realize that the power to be offended rests entirely in your hands. You can choose to take their words personally and let them affect your mood, or you can choose to see those words for what they really are. An expression of the other person's internal struggles, not an accurate reflection of your worth or identity. This mindset shift is crucial because it frees you from the need for external validation or approval. You stop seeking the approval of others to feel good about yourself. Instead, your sense of self-worth becomes anchored in how you see yourself, not how others perceive you. You stop allowing other people's opinions to define your happiness or self-esteem. Your inner peace becomes unshakable because it no longer depends on external factors. Of course, it's not always easy to maintain this perspective, especially when you're surrounded by people who might deliberately try to undermine you. In some cases, you might encounter individuals who seem intent on bringing you down, who can't stand to see you thrive or shine. These people, like a snake reacting to someone's light, project their negativity outward because they are threatened by the success or happiness of others. But their actions do not define you. Their bitterness or jealousy is a reflection of their own limitations, not a measure of your brilliance. When you realize this, you gain the power to choose how much influence others have over your emotional state. You can decide that their attempts to harm you will fall flat because you refuse to give them the power to disturb your peace. You are in control, not them. This understanding also applies to the everyday challenges and obstacles that life throws your way. It's easy to feel like a victim of circumstance when things don't go as planned, when people disappoint you, or when life feels unfair. But the Stoics teach us that it's not the events themselves that cause us distress. It's how we interpret and respond to those events. You are always in control of your reaction. Even when things are difficult, you have the power to decide whether you will let those difficulties define your mood, your outlook, or your day. Take, for example, a situation where you feel deeply wronged by someone's actions. The immediate instinct might be to react with anger, frustration, or even revenge. But you are not obligated to respond in this way. You can choose a different path. You can choose to remain calm, to rise above the situation, and to keep your peace intact. By doing so, you demonstrate true strength. Not the strength to retaliate or react, but the strength to remain centered in your own values and emotions. In every moment, you have the power to decide how much of your emotional energy you will invest in the actions of others. You can choose to give them your peace, or you can choose to protect it. This choice is entirely yours. When you understand this, you become free. Free from the emotional manipulation of others, free from the ups and downs of external validation, and free to create your own happiness, regardless of the circumstances. But this realization requires constant practice. It's a daily commitment to self-awareness and mindfulness. Each time you catch yourself reacting emotionally to someone else's behavior, pause and ask yourself, is this worth giving up my peace for? More often than not, the answer will be no. This simple question can help you regain control and reset your perspective. The ultimate takeaway from this Stoic principle is that you are responsible for your own well-being. No one else can control how you feel unless you let them. You have the power to create a sense of inner calm and emotional stability, regardless of what others do or say. This is one of the most profound forms of strength, because it means that your happiness, your peace, and your joy are entirely within your control. The more you embrace this truth, the more resilient you become, unaffected by the storms around you, because your foundation is built on the solid ground of self-control. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been. By internalizing this wisdom, you take back control of your emotions, your reactions, and ultimately, your life. You become the master of your own inner world, untouched by the opinions, actions, or negativity of others. The control is yours, and with it comes the freedom to live in peace. As we come to the end of this powerful journey, take a moment to reflect on the lessons shared, from mastering the art of silence, to solving problems without confrontation, embracing forgiveness, and transforming adversity into personal growth. We've covered essential strategies for building emotional resilience and inner strength. Now, I want to ask you, what have you learned? Which lesson spoke to you the most? Comment below with one thing you've taken from this video that you will start practicing in your life. I'd love to hear how you plan to incorporate these powerful strategies into your own journey. And if this video resonated with you, please leave a comment below. Give it a like, and don't forget to share it with others who might benefit. Most importantly, hit that subscribe button and join us for more content that will help you live with peace, strength, and wisdom. Thank you for watching.